moms, too much coffee, tired eyes but hearts so full. Thanks for tuning in with us. Hope you brewed a cup for you.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Moms, Too Much Coffee. We have Tempestt here and we also have
Jhshell. Hey guys.
Hey, how's it going today?
It's going. It's a day.
I feel you. Today I wanted to talk about Cardi B and how she partnered up with the infant formula brand Bobbie. Have you heard about that?
No, I've like little bits and pieces.
Okay. So it's like all over my feed. And so I wanted to talk about it because I think she is shedding light on some things that maybe we should talk a little bit more in depth on, because there's just so much shame and guilt around formula feeding. And I think that she's using her platform so well as a mom of, like, I think she's got 4 kids or 3 kids and she's pregnant with a 4th. And so I want to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
So in a Vogue article that she did, she said that she is teaming up with the infant formula company Bobbie to bring attention to major issues like maternal mortality and lack of paid leave, and to help give moms the confidence to choose whatever they want when it comes to feeding their baby. The partnership with Cardi is the first time she's ever working with a baby brand, so she felt really passionate about it after struggling with her milk production and experiencing postpartum depression, which we all know too well. And she said that, sometimes my baby wants to eat every 2 hours, and sometimes my baby eats in 45 minutes, and it takes me 2 hours to just produce 2 ounces of milk. It almost made me feel like, does it make me less of a woman if I can't produce as much milk as the next woman? And I don't think people understand how frustrating that is. She insisted that moms should focus more on ensuring their babies receive the proper nutrients than whether it's from breast milk or formula. And you're not a bad mom if you're giving your baby formula, is what she said. But you know what is bad? Not feeding your kid, which is very Cardi B. I'm sure she said it much better than I did.
Yes, I literally can hear it in her voice.
Right, exactly. She's like, you know what? You know what's bad? Not feeding your kid. Something like that. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about this because, like I said, I love that she's shedding light on it. I know both of us we have used formula in our own ways. We both have breastfed. And so I kind of wanted to talk about, just our journeys a little bit, and then discuss a little bit more about all of this and what Cardi B is doing with the Bobbie campaign. So do you want to share kind of your journey a little bit so far with breastfeeding, pumping, all the above?
All the things. I love that we're talking about this week because it's just like perfect timing of just what's going on in my life with Naya and breastfeeding and lack thereof, what's going on with my milk. Yeah. So like recently I have decided, well, I personally didn't decide. My body decided to start weaning. And so for those who don't know, I was exclusively breastfeeding all the way up until, of course, Naya, I had to go back to work. She started doing daycare. So I was pumping every 3 hours, like around the clock, whenever I would leave to go anywhere. I'm bringing my pump bag with me. Like I was very, very good at trying to keep a schedule because I didn't want to start not producing. And my body's just kind of like, I'm tired. I'm done. So to give you an idea, I do not pump during the night. I stopped that a while, probably like 6 months. So it's been a while. But just to give everyone like a nice example, I would wake up and pump around 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and I would get like 10 to 12 ounces. I did that the other day. Naya slept through the night, did not feed her. So you think I would have a lot of milk? I pumped 2 ounces.
Oh,
2 ounces. Yes. So my body is just pretty much done. So we were already doing formula. We were doing Kindamil, and we were doing like 2 bottles a day, like 1 in the morning, 1 at night, and the rest was breast milk. But now we're just at the point where I just don't pump enough, that it is causing me more anxiety, more stress of trying to make sure she has enough milk for daycare. That I was like, this is actually probably having more of a negative effect on me. And I had that guilt of switching to formula because I just was like, am I giving up? Like, even though my body is the one that's making that decision for me, I really wanted to go a year. It's just kind of like, it's still that guilt that I have of like, well, maybe I can just keep going and give her 1 ounce or 2 ounce. And, a little bit is something. But I'm like, what is that? How is that impacting me against my mental health when I'm already dealing with like postpartum anxiety and things like that. So I've decided to just start weaning. So she is now doing more formula. And we're just gonna do that until I'm completely like done with breastfeeding. But it was kind of a hard pill to swallow because it wasn't my plan. But I'm also telling myself that it's okay to pivot. And I got her this far and we're almost 10 months. And it's okay. And it's also digging into why do I feel guilt? And why do I feel guilt is because of the stigma that has been put on moms in general of like formula feeding, of being like, oh, why are you not breastfeeding? You should do this, like you should do that. And so I had to tell myself it was not me that should make myself feel guilty. It's social, like society is doing that to me. So yeah, I love that. I love that she's doing this for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So much in that is like so difficult. Like I cannot get over I had a different journey because it was very intentional for me to stop breastfeeding. I like empathize with you so much that your body is the one that's stopping you because it'd be really hard for me. So I completely understand it being hard for you like that. It's not, it just like doesn't feel fair, like you're like, well, I want to do this, so like what the heck. So that is very frustrating, but it certainly is great that we do have an alternative with formula that the scientists have been doing really well on to mimic breastfeeding or breast milk as much as it can, which is great. And so that part, you know I'm happy we have an alternative.
Yeah.
And I also do think that getting to 10 months is such a feat. Like, I think that's incredible, because it really I feel like around 10, 11, 12 months, and people switch over from breast milk to formula. The kid, there's a really big shift where the kid's like, what's happening? This is breast milk. This is formula. This is not breast milk. Something's different. And maybe they'll end up eating more table food, in your case.
Yeah. And I will say, when we told our pediatrician, we were telling her about it, and she was like, she may not like formula. No, Naya has no problem with formula. So, and that, I think that also is a problem, is like, I don't think that should be placed, like in our heads immediately. Cause I'm like, oh my gosh, like, should I not? But she literally drank Kendamil, goat formula. If you want to sponsor us, please send us bottles. Okay. Send us cans. I mean, huge cans, please. She
Yes,
drinks her
multiple
formula.
kids.
Multiple cans, okay? She drinks her formula, like, it's kind of, I was a little offended. I was like, do you like this more than me? Because girly. Yeah. So we're all good there. I mean, just in general, I want her to be eating more solid. So I know that, like, before one, it's just for fun. But, I feel like we got to a good point where, like, 10 months, we just have a couple more months where she'll be, mainly formula, breast milk, whatever it is. So yeah, overall, that's what I'm telling myself to be like, I did a good job. I did a damn good job. So
Yeah, you
yeah.
absolutely did. And, even if somebody didn't get quite as far, I do still think that, they did a great job too. So did a little bit of a pivot to my journey a little bit. I had a really big goal in mind just to get to 6 months, whether that be from pumping or from nursing. That's always been the goal for me. And I was able to get that there with both kids. I ended up actually with Abel. I got to 6 months and I was like, okay, well, I'm probably going to start weaning. And I got really sick. I think I was sick for like 2 weeks. Not the point, but it was really bad that I still remember. I literally was thinking like, I think maybe I need to go to the doctor because it was so bad. But anyway, I survived. I ended up taking decongestants, and I had, like, you're not supposed to take decongestants when you're pregnant. You're not supposed to take it when you're nursing. And so I hadn't taken it in forever. And so I was like, and I had high blood pressure. You're not supposed to take it when you have high blood pressure. And so I was like, okay, fine, I won't take it. But then I was feeling so bad. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of ready to be done breastfeeding. And I took a decongestant, and it actually it like dried me up so quickly. And then I moved exclusively to formula and whatever I had saved, pumped, and frozen. And so I ended up moving to that, and both, Abel at that time, he didn't care. He was just like, all right, here's here's new milk. It's great. I'll do that. Use Kendamil Goat back then. So Kendamil, feel free to sponsor us. And it was fine. Like it definitely, people like to say like, formula is so much more expensive. And while I agree, it certainly is expensive, I can't discount how expensive it is for me when I buy every type of pump available, and then I'm buying every type of flange,
Mhm.
every type of flange also available because I really didn't want to do all of like the dishes all day, every day. And on top of that, then I am buying a sterilizer and all of this stuff for breastfeeding. So it's certainly, while formula is more expensive, it is feel like breastfeeding is still a pretty close second with all of the stuff you have to buy and keep with you and, your to-go pumps and whatnot. So I don't want to, I know that that's always a hindrance for some people, but I do think that, like, at least for me, which I do have a spending problem, it certainly is something that it was up there for me with how much it cost me to breastfeed.
Yeah.
And then with Sequoia, my goal was to get there or to stop at 6 months. And I ended up, I think, stopping around 7 or 8 months. It took me a while to wean with her. I wasn't in a huge rush. And so I ended up weaning, I think, around 7-ish months. And now we're exclusively formula. And I personally love it. I love having my body back. It was one of those things where I breastfed because I knew there were some benefits to it, but I get touched out real quick. And especially with having 2 kids now,
Mhm.
I'm just like, I just I can't be the sole everything for 2 full children. Like it's like a setting me up for failure. And I don't like to be set up for failure. And so it was a good, easy switch for me to switch to formula because I got some autonomy back and I got some of my, I was able to leave for a while, all of the above. It was a necessity. And so um, I'd certainly have guilt for a number of different things, but I'm happy I did it
Yeah.
because, yeah, you just get some time back, which is so nice.
Yeah. I was gonna say that too when you were mentioning, like, the cost, like, even though you can't really, put a cost on your time or whatever unless, billable hours. But,
You know
besides
what?
that,
I think I can. I
I'm
actually
like,
think I can
"Actually,
put
let
a
me
cost
start
on my
charging my
time.
husband."
Yeah,
But
like,
anyway,
wait a
actually, maybe I can. But I will say, because I'm weaning now, the difference of just, like, my day to day, like, at work, like, as I'm not pumping as often or I'm, like, slowing it down, I'm like, wow, I actually don't need to go to my fridge and get my pumps and put them on and do this and put them in. Like, it is calming. It's definitely calming. And I'm gonna feel great getting my body back and not having to think about everything that I put in my mouth. It's costly on the side of the formula, but then, like, it's not when it comes to your mental health. So I'll
Yeah,
take
and
my
I
coin,
definitely think
honestly, at this point.
that you saying that kind of leads me a little bit into like why that mom shame is still
Mhm,
existing in the world. And I do think, you highlighting the feeding schedules and me talking about washing parts and pumping logistics and the emotional exhaustion of just being like, I have to do this for everybody, it is shame on in itself when you're now like,
mhm,
oh wait, now I want to move to something that apparently, biologically is not supposed to be the way you do it. And people that are listening, I'm using quotation marks. And it is something it's so I could see the shame and the guilt just like a nice cloud above me when I talk
yeah,
about things like that. And actually, funny enough, I had some shame that I didn't mention to my partner because he had said I was looking at something or somebody and I was like, I cannot believe they are still breastfeeding. I could not be doing that right now. And he just like so quickly was like, well, it's because they know it's better for the kid. And I was like, excuse me? Because clearly I'm not doing that anymore, And it's just
mhm,
like one of those things where I'm sure he was not trying to be like,
mm-mm,
and you should be doing it, He probably was just trying to be like very matter of fact. But then now I have all this shame where I'm just like, oh, well, I guess I mean, I could. I
mhm,
certainly could still be doing it. My boobs, they took forever to stop. So, like, I'm sure my body would just be like, okay, let's do it. And so then I felt so guilty. I'm like, well, yeah, it is better for her. And it would have been better for Abel as well. And now it's like just like full of shame. And so it's like the shame I think is there, even if unintentionally by
yeah,
so many people around us. It's
mhm.
probably misogyny, but we can probably get into that at a different time.
Yeah, let's start moving on. Otherwise, we're never gonna get off of that topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just in general, like, little comments can make it you feel shame, like, where was I recently? I don't even remember. I forget where I was, but someone was like, "Oh, yeah, because 'cause you're breastfeeding, right?" And I'm like, "You just assume that
Mm.
medically because, like, you're like, oh, you're a mom and you're pregnant or you had" not pregnant, I mean, you're a mom and you had
Or
a baby, so you're automatically breastfeeding. So I just think it's like, just in society, it's always that assumption, and I don't think that should be the assumption, because, like we know, fed is best, so it doesn't
Mhm.
matter.
Yep,
Yeah.
and I still, I love that Cardi B is bringing it up. I know we mentioned
Mhm.
that, but I'm just, like, super happy because I think she is so good at I don't know if people have, like, actually listened to her talk, like, I've listened to interviews and whatnot, she is so smart. Like,
Mhm.
this woman knows what's going on in the world, and so it's really fun to see her bring in her humor to a very important topic. I really just love that, the campaign she's doing with Bobbie because they are trying to actually make, like, an actual movement out of it, and I just love that she's working with these different organizations, so a couple of them are For Cure for moms, Paid Leave for All, and the Birth Fund, and I know Cardi B is also targeting all of this maternal health for women of color
Mhm.
because we are 3 times more likely to die during childbirth, and we are more likely to have postpartum depression,
Mm.
and we're more likely to be going through a lot of struggles that other people are not going through. So I just love that she's using her platform for this reason, especially because it's not, like we said, fed is best. And if you can use your platform to make sure that everybody knows that and doesn't get caught in a guilt spiral or shame spiral for not breastfeeding, I think that that is best for moms because momming is hard, really hard.
Yes. Yes. Co-sign to everything. I could speak a whole another 30 minutes of the issues for women of color and, our maternal risks, but I won't go into that. But what I will go into is just in general, the mental health of a mom. And so I just feel like what I always come to is like, do whatever makes you have the least amount of anxiety, the least amount of stress, and your baby is healthy. And if that's formula, if that's breastfeeding, if you breastfed for a month, if you breastfed for 3 days, like whatever it is, whatever makes you feel the best when you have to wake up in the morning is what matters, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. And I want to share some Reddit posts that we had come across that also talk a little bit about, combo feeding or formula feeding, or even a different perspective from the partner side of things. So let's talk a little bit about those and see maybe we can chat a little bit about what they're saying. Mm.
Yes. Okay. So I have one, and mine is focused on breastfeeding. So the title is Breastfeeding Mental, Sanity, or Keep Going. So the poster said, little one is over 2 weeks old, and I've been breastfeeding. I'm having such conflicting feelings. On one hand, I love how nursing makes me feel. I feel so connected to her, and it makes me feel bonded. On the other hand, I'm a little worried about my mental health due to just the natural hardships of nursing. A part of me wants to go just to formula because I know it'll be easier on me. I do suffer from anxiety that I'm on medication for. I'm actually feeling great since baby is born. I think I'm scared I'm going to end up getting overwhelmed and spiraling. For anyone that stopped breastfeeding, do you regret it? Do you still feel bonded to your baby? Do I just wait and make the switch when I feel like I've had enough or do it sooner? And there was a husband that commented, and I liked what his reply was. And he said, my wife made the call to stop breastfeeding and switch to formula after 3 weeks. Despite some occasional pangs of guilt, it's a massive net improvement to her mental health, and the baby is gaining weight faster on formula than he was on breast milk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one. At least the dad's perspective.
Mhm.
It's good to hear that he is supportive, for one, of her stopping because I've heard the alternative. And then I also think that I guess both of them recognizing that the anxiety, the depression can build from somebody doing most of the work from breastfeeding and then stopping that, I think that's so important. Like, I think
Mhm.
that that's one of the most important things is to make sure that you're healthy mentally, because as we've talked about in podcast past, your baby can feel that. You know, if you're super anxious all the time, you're super depressed, like that's a feeling that's going to go with your baby's. I think just, being the best person you can be, and if that is formula feeding, I think that that's the right option.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with all of that.
Yeah. So I had one. The title is How Do You Deal with All the Guilt? Also, questions about transitioning to formula. So I'm currently exclusively pumping breast milk with my second son, who is just shy of 5 months. But I also have decided I'm going to wean at 6 months for many reasons. The amount of time I'm losing with my oldest by having to pump, the inconvenience of having to pump no matter where I am, and the fact that I feel like I'm missing out on so much. I just want my freedom from the pump. Society tells us that breast is best no matter what it does to our sanity. And the guilt I had with my first drove me to pump for him for 14 months. It was purely the guilt of quitting because I felt like I wasn't doing the best for my child if I switched. The
Mm.
guilt is following me this time too, even though I know formula is perfectly acceptable. How do I get past this mentally? Also, those who transition giving pumped breast milk to formula, did your baby jump in the same amount they were eating? I have been told that babies tend to drink more formula than breast milk because apparently formula isn't as filling. Do you notice any of that?
It's funny because I heard the same thing, like baby will drink more formula because, your breast milk's composition changes with how baby ages. Naya actually has not been finishing her bottles like she was before. Granted, we are eating more solids, so we're in that time frame anyway. I don't know. Like I honestly just feel like it's just your baby. Like I don't really even know what's most common, but what I can say is I had those same concerns. There's the same thought process of just like, should I be concerned? Should I be worried? Like, what's going to happen? Everything has been fine because when she's eating, she's happy, she's bubbly, she's still learning, she's still doing everything that she was doing when she was drinking breast milk. Nothing has changed besides my wallet. So I think at the end of the day, it's just sad that like we have these immediate thoughts, to be honest, like feeling guilty of feeding our baby. That's literally what it is. We're guilty of feeding our baby. And that makes me really sad that that's just common conversations and questions that we have.
Yeah, I think it's really sad that the guilt drove her to pump breast milk for so long. With my first, I pumped until, 6 months, but I stopped formula the day of 12 months. So
Mhm.
like I was like, okay, now we're switching to cow's milk. And like he doesn't even really like milk, so he didn't really drink it anymore. So it's just really interesting that she chose to continue further than I would have even with formula.
Yeah.
So, but it is, I think my answer to all of these are all going to be the same. Do what's best for you. I think if you want to stop, stop. I have friends that have exclusively formula from day one, and I have friends that have breastfed for 2 years,
Mhm.
and I can't tell the difference in their kid.
There's
Like,
like a,
they're all
sorry, go ahead.
still there.
Yeah, they're all still there. There's this post that I always see teachers post this on TikToks, Facebook, whatever it is. They're always like, I can never tell you what kid was formula fed versus breastfed. I can always tell you what kid read books when they were a kid and which kids didn't. And I'm like, that speaks, volumes. Like, your kid is fed. No one is going to be able to tell the difference and be like, when they're 10, like, ooh, like they were only formula fed. Like, and these are things that I tell myself. So I'm not even like speaking at anyone. I tell myself this all the time. Like, no one is going to know the difference. Like, it's okay. It is
Yep.
okay.
Absolutely. And then I have one last one, and
Mhm.
it says, "How come no one ever talks about combo feeding?"
Mhm.
I've combo fed both my babies on accident because I couldn't decide what I wanted to do exclusively. I feel like it's the easiest option because it takes the pressure off and your baby is still getting what it needs from you.
Mhm.
And honestly, I never did combo feeding well enough. And I think it was the guilt. I honestly think it was the guilt that I didn't do combo feeding to the extent that I wanted to. I know when I was about to switch with my second to formula, I ended up doing a little bit more formula throughout the day than I was breast milk, but it wasn't intentional to be like combo feeding. It was more like I'm weaning. And so you're
Mhm.
going to get formula and replacement. But I think combo feeding seems like such a great option. I wonder maybe if there's like a scientific reason why people don't suggest it. I have no idea. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people should do it, especially if you're, stressed out about not producing enough, or even if you just don't want to do like the nights. So
Yeah.
you just like pump other times. I just think that there's so many there's alternatives for sure. And I think combo feeding is a good one.
Yeah, I agree. Be combo fed now I'm doing it, but I'm weaning. So it's more because that's the purpose. But before, as I mentioned, she was doing 2 bottles, one in the morning, one at night of formula, and then the rest was breast milk. And it took me a while. I remember like going back and forth with you, like talking about it. It took me a while to make that decision. Because again, guilt. And when we finally made the decision and started doing it, the stress levels like decreased significantly because I was like, she's good in the morning. That's, 10 to 12 ounces of milk that I do not have to think about coming out of me. So we're
Mhm.
good. And then Nick would take care of those because, I wasn't needing to have her on the boob. So sometimes I'm like, I wonder if I would have felt better doing this earlier. And it's definitely something I will think about if we decide to have another child, because it's like you said, I don't know why it's not usually talked about as much. It's always like breastfeeding versus formula instead of just using them together. And like, it's like a powerhouse at that point. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it makes sense. All right. Well, I think that's all we had to talk about today. I do think if Bobbie had a goat milk option, I would have chosen Bobbie. So that is a shout out to Bobbie. I really love that you guys are doing this movement. I hope it makes some change. If anything, it gives some of those organizations a little bit more funding to fight for the rights of us and fight for all of us to have some more formula in our lives. And I would say just fed is best, but support of your own mental health is better. So I think do whatever makes you happy.
Perfect wrap up, Tempest. I don't even need to say anything else.
Look at me. Alrighty. Thank you all for joining us today. And please like and subscribe and comment. And if you do combo feeding, formula feeding, breastfeeding, please let us know. We'd love to hear your opinions.
Yes.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.
Two moms, too much coffee, tired eyes but hearts so full. Thanks for tuning in with us. Hope you brewed a cup for you. The morning light is shining bright.